Are we done yet? I don't know how your week has been. I'm exhausted. I'm beat. This week was hard. From the beginning of it, I just feel drained of energy, and I could not wait for the next day that I didn't have to think about work. And that's happened a lot since we started this whole lockdown thing. And so I think it was really funny in the middle of all of that, like I was doing my work and my wife was doing her work, and then we were helping our kids do their work, and it was just like everything felt like a lot this week. And I know from talking with a lot of you, you're feeling the same way, that you are overwhelmed and distracted or falling behind, and every time you think about trying to catch up, it just feels just like this massive mountain of stuff you have to do. And it's hard. This was a hard week. And as I was going through this week, I was reading some news, and I saw this headline that mostly it entertained me, but it also got me thinking about something that I think we should talk about. The headline I saw said, 45% of all men feel like they have been doing the majority of doing the homeschool work. 3% of women agree. That might not have been the exact wording, it seems a bit long for a headline, but that was the idea. About half of all men right now working with kids at home feel like they are taking the majority of the homeschooling burden and work, and about 3% of women say, yeah, that sounds about right. And this entertained me because this is a long, long history of men feeling like they do so much work, and then if we ask women about how much they actually do of that work, the numbers don't add up. Right? This has gone on for decades and centuries. It's still an issue. It's still a problem. There have been study after study after study that look at how much work at home gets done by men versus how much gets done by women. And almost universally, women are doing most of the work. Now, the reason, of course, I'm bringing this up is this Sunday is Mother's Day. And I think it's a good time to talk about the women in our lives who do so much for us, to give them the recognition, to give them the thanks, to give them the praise for everything that they've been doing. Dads, you're doing stuff too. I know you are. There's no universal rule, so your house, your exception, your whatever. We'll talk about you in June, okay? You get Father's Day, so just take a step back. It's not about you right now. So I wanted to think about a story, like what's a good story for moms that show the kind of work that a mom can do, right? So it's often simply called Jesus's first miracle, water into wine. And so the setup here is Jesus is a grown person. He's at this wedding. It's this huge party because that's how they did all of their weddings and all of their parties. And people are eating and drinking and having the time of their life. And Jesus is there and his mom is there. And somehow over the course of this gigantic wedding party, they run out of wine. And the guy who's throwing the wedding and the party is like, oh no, what are we gonna do? Everybody wants more to drink. And word somehow gets to Mary. And Mary's like, hold on a minute, I have an idea. She finds Jesus and says, Jesus, I know you can do this. I know you can help here. So let's kind of get you over there and have you do something. And I love this moment because even though Jesus is like a grown person, he's like 30 years old. I can't help but picture it like Jesus is a teenager here. Because his mom comes up to him and says like, Jesus, we need you to help out. And Jesus is like, Mom, it's not time for me to do that. And I know he wasn't really that whiny, but my imagination, that's where it goes. Because it's an interesting moment that Jesus has an opportunity here to like do something that would demonstrate who he is, that can demonstrate what he can do, showcase power, showcase his ability to solve a problem. And his mom is like, let's go, let's do this. And Jesus resists. He doesn't want to do it. Now, there are, of course, other theological reasons we can get into, but what I want to focus on for this story and what I think is so cool is why Jesus' mom kind of pushed him to do this to begin with. The Bible is such a strange account for Jesus' life because you get when he's born, you get when he's like 12, and then you get this giant 18-year gap, and then he shows up at a party and does this. And we don't know a lot of the relationship between Jesus and his mom, but we can pretty safely assume that given the cultural context and historical context, Jesus probably spent a lot of time with his mom. She would have been the one who raised him. She would have been the one who taught him everything. She would have been the one who brought him up and helped him understand who he was and what he could do and how important his life was. And so that's what I think is so cool here, is now at this wedding, at this party, at this gathering of people where they are trying to celebrate a big, amazing achievement and milestone in somebody's life, there's a problem. Something falls through. Something we all are relating to right now. These moments, as we get further and further into the spring and closer to summer, this is what we're all wondering about. Like, what about graduations? What about weddings? What about all these things, the plans and vacations? Oh, we wanted those. And right now we feel like we really need them. Because like I said, this week, super hard, and they're not getting easier. And we would love to go somewhere and do something. We need a problem solver. Jesus is that in this situation. And so Mary convinces him, pushes him to do this thing that he initially didn't want to do or wasn't ready to do or willing to do at first. So I love this because when I think about moms, when I think about the women in our lives and the power they can have for each of us, what this story shows us, or reminds us rather, is the power of someone to encourage you to reach your potential. That's what's cool here. Mary knew Jesus. She knew what he was. She knew his value. She knew everything that he could be. And for this, the first miracle of Jesus, what we get is a woman who pushes him to reach his potential. It's so cool. I love it. Because normally, I think that if we rewrote this story and we did it now, we would probably like if we turned this into a movie and if it wasn't Jesus but some other dude, we'd be like, oh, I can't do it. And Jesus would have some like gruff old mentor, like, you can do it. You just have to do this. And then we'd have some cool bond. It'd be like Rocky and Rocky's coach, whose name I don't remember. But that's what we would have now, because we like putting men with men to like achieve a power and strength and everything else. But this is really cool because we have the power of his mother, of a woman who says, Jesus, I know who you are. I know what you can be. Show everyone who you can be. And whether you're imagining Jesus as a teenager, even though he was 30, or if you're imagining him as a full-grown adult and still having his mom there to say like, hey, you can do more. You can do this. It can help people. It's important to take all of this potential that you have and share it with the world. And I think that's so cool. The miracle's great. The miracle has its own amazing implications and symbolism, that Jesus' first miracle is about bringing people together, and it's about celebration, that it's about finding something to be joyous about. I love that. That's all great too. But as we're approaching Mother's Day this weekend, I want everybody to think about this as well. Who are the women in our lives who have held us to a higher standard of who we can be? Who are the women that when we felt like not doing anything, where we felt like, it's not now, I don't want to do it right now, for whatever reason, whether it's because we felt like the time wasn't right, or maybe we just felt like we couldn't do it, or maybe we didn't believe in ourselves enough, or maybe we thought, who cares? We all have those people in our lives who have pushed us to reach a fuller sense of ourself. I think that's so cool. And I think it's wonderful that we have this great story of a mom who looked at the Son of God and says, come on. These people will benefit from you being yourself. I want to do a quick shout out to my mom, because every year around this time I get a reminder of a story. So I would have been, I think, in 7th grade. That was the youngest I could have possibly been for this story. And my school, on a Saturday night, had a spaghetti feed fundraiser. And my family went, and I ate. And I don't know if I ate too much or if there was something weird about it. I don't know how you can have something messed up in a spaghetti feed, especially with a bunch of vegetarian Adventists. Like, there's nothing in there that could have been like really disgusting that would have like thrown everything off for me. But something went wrong, because that night, as I went to bed, fell asleep, woke up at, I don't know, 2 a.m. probably. And I had this gross gut pain. I'm like, this is not good. Try to go back to sleep, try to go back to sleep, try to go back to sleep. Couldn't go back to sleep. My gut felt terrible. And eventually, you have to make a decision. Do I stay here, or do I get up and I move to the bathroom as quickly as possible? Eventually, that's what I decided to do. I got up and I tried to dash to the bathroom, because whatever was going on in my gut was not gonna stay in my gut. As I cleared the doorway from my bedroom, but still very much across the hall from the bathroom, I fire hosed spaghetti and sauce and all the grossness just everywhere. And it was super gross, super disgusting. And like I said, I was probably in 7th grade. I think I was probably 13 years old, but I stared at this disgusting mess that I had made all over our hallway in a house that we had lived in for less than a year, I think. And then I go down to my parents' bedroom and gently knock to tell them that I had thrown up all over the hallway. I didn't realize it then, but what I am reminded of very frequently now by my mother is that 2 a.m. puke fest was 2 a.m. on Mother's Day. And that's the gift I got her that year. My mom is great. Despite blowing chunks on Mother's Day, I know that she is somebody who has always pushed me, who has always wanted me to be great, to be myself, to put something out there for the world and make it a better place. That's what we get in the story of Christ, is a mother who recognizes the value and potential and beauty and awesomeness of a person and says, the world needs you. So 2 things as we wrap up. First, for everybody, the world needs you. We are living in a crazy time, which is not fun, where we are all stressed out and we are all either bored or overwhelmed or whatever. It's a terrible, don't like it. And that's on top of course, millions of people losing jobs, and everything is terrible. It's not a great time. But you have a value, you have a purpose, you have potential, you have something amazing about you, and the world needs you. And if you don't feel like that, if you feel like the world doesn't need you right now, start talking to people. Be open with people. Tell them that you're having a hard time recognizing your place and your value, and you don't know what you have to contribute to this crazy world. Find the people who can help you for that. Second thing, for all the women in my life, in your lives, all the women of the world who are doing their best right now to keep some kind of balance in this chaos. We need you more now than we ever have. We need you to keep us going. We need you to push us along and say, your potential, your value, the world needs that right now. And thank you so much to all of you who have been doing that so far. That is the work of God. That is the work of the divine in the lives for all of us, and it's what we need right now. So like I've done for a lot of these videos, if you have the strength and the power and the energy, I encourage you to do what you can to reach out to people and let them know their value. Let them know how important they are. Because that's what the world needs. That's how we can be God in the world now. And finally, Mother's Day is in 2 days. Do something nice for your mom.